Okay, so today I'm sharing with you everything you need to know about the all-new Samsung Galaxy Watch 4, specifically the Classic. Now, there are a number of things that we need to cover here, but I'm just going to stick to the essentials because that's all you need to know. Let's go ahead and jump in. Now, obviously, I just recently moved away from my Apple Watch Series 6 here and back to the Samsung Galaxy Watch platform for a number of reasons that actually include two main ones. The first one is the fact that these Galaxy watches actually boast the traditional looks of the normal stylish men watches, which I generally prefer. So that kind of bulky and, rounded look. And the second reason is the collaboration of Samsung with Google on what type of platform is being implemented on this Galaxy Watch 4 lineup. And that is indeed a new Wear OS and One UI platform. And I have to admit that I have been absolutely impressed by what's been done here. And not going into a specific order here, why don't we go ahead and tap into some of the most important things that you absolutely need to know. Let's start off with accessibility, for example, which will include just usability and the ergonomics of the watch itself. And as you might already suspect, I'm sure, Samsung has a way of inserting a number of features that some people might think are gimmicks, but in my opinion, I actually think they are pretty useful. Things like shaking your arm twice to pick up a phone call, or if you just twist it a little bit, that would be a way to hang up a call or dismiss alarms or notification and all that good stuff. Which is going to lead me to my next feature here, which is the bezel. And this is a keynote here. This is actually my favorite thing about this phone, just rotating that bezel. And I do know that a ton of other people love it. It's super fun to use. It has that kind of satisfying feeling when you're rotating it. And it's been just excellent at helping me, I guess, navigating through different apps, and features and functions of the watch itself. And it does so in a very, very smooth way. There are two buttons on the right side here. The power button is the one at the top, and the one at the bottom will be the home button. And these actually can be used in a number of different ways, assuming, of course, that you go ahead and customize them to your liking, which you can do on the watch itself or on the phone in the Wear app. So you have a way of just setting up your shortcuts, a way of really customizing these buttons, or customizing even just the whole watch to your liking. Things like, short press or long press or double press in order to set and attach that to shortcuts that you prefer to have. And there are, of course, other ways to access features, which will include either a left or a right swipe, and those will get you access to things that are either on the left or the right side of your main screen, right? So your notification would they generally tend to be on the left side of the screen. So by swiping, you'll be able to pull up all of your notification. You have a number of things that you can customize, as I mentioned already, just to make your life a little bit easier, or just to make it more enjoyable to use your watch. And by the way, if this is your first time visiting, well, welcome to the channel and welcome to the family, of course. I'm certainly hoping that you are enjoying the content so far, and if you are, I really do appreciate that. Please do me a huge favor, hit both the like and the subscribe button there. It's a tremendous boost to this channel here, and again, I truly appreciate that. Anyway, so the learning curve is one thing that I want to bring up here, and if you are new to this watch, if this is your first time, it's not going to be a very steep learning curve at all. You will generally be able to find things right at the tip of your fingers. And continuing with what I was saying, the quick access menu can be done by just a easy swipe down from the main screen here. It's pretty neat, and those who have used the Galaxy Watch before, any Galaxy Watch before, even with the good old Tizen OS, many things on here will look and feel pretty familiar to use. So, whether it's a swipe down in the settings, it will be things that you've done before. Meaning that on that same token that you swipe down, you can swipe up from the bottom up, and this will pull up your app drawer. And of course, this is going to be very familiar if you've been using Android phones. In my case, I have both Android and iOS, so I do know I'm used to that setup with the app drawer. And speaking of Android here, 3 words for you: Google Play Store. That is one major upgrade that we all had been anticipating, including even developers. I would say, people who develop these apps can just now make an app for the Galaxy Watch here without necessarily trying to calibrate it or make it specific to one thing or the other. So they could simply make a Google app here and it will be good to go. A Google app made for the watch here and it will be good to go. So I'm sure even developers are just as happy as we are. So I've had access to apps like Google Pay, YouTube, Fit, just to name a few. And there's also talks about bringing on the Google Voice Assistant. If they do, that would be, fantastic. Bixby has been improved a lot, I would say. I remember on my S3 Frontier, or was it the one before that? It was horrendous. It was just so awful, right? But now it's been improved by a lot. It seems to be capturing a lot more of what you ask it to do. It doesn't randomly go on or off with that very robotic and generic voice that it had. Oh, it was so bad. But anyway, I would still prefer something like the Google Voice Assistant. I can still, get by with it. It's just been improved. That's the one good thing about it, but it's still Bixby, right? In the end, my experience so far with the current version of Bixby hasn't been, too terrible. And phone calls, when you ask it to call somebody, it actually is able to catch on. And phone calls are actually very clear also. That's one thing I want to bring up. The mic on here is pretty good. It picks up your voice very nicely. People are able to hear you without any issues. And the speaker that is under there is really loud also. So you don't even need to really put it close to your ear. You could just put it away at arm's length and be able to talk and hear without any problems. Anyway, so it's been a very nice upgrade to have that Google Play Store on the Galaxy Watch for the very first time here. And just like I had been anticipating, it's been pretty awesome so far. I've been downloading quite a few apps from the Play Store and just playing around with it, just see how well it plays with the watch. And speaking of downloading, the watch itself is loaded with 16 gigs of internal storage. That's, pretty decent size for you to be able to load, whether your music or your apps and all that good stuff. And the RAM here is 1.5 gigs. Plus, like I mentioned earlier, the platform is going to be Android Wear OS along with One UI Watch 3. So that's the skin sitting on Android here. Now, performance, fantastic. Not a single, well, actually, I take that back. When I was setting up the watch itself, it lagged a little. Not sure, it only did that once. So I'm assuming it works a little bit like when I'm setting up a tablet. Generally, that first setup lags a little bit, and then after that, performance is pretty good. So performance has been fantastic since that initial setup. It actually lagged, it froze. It was there for like a few seconds, but then once I went past that, everything has been good. No complaints so far. So navigation is very, very smooth. Very nice haptics also, whether you using gestures or whether it's notification and things like that. Samsung did a pretty good job with all of that, and I cannot say this enough. Just the fact that you can customize it in so many ways make this watch a must for people who want to be able to do so many different things with their watches. It's also boasting a 1.4 inches Super AMOLED display, as you can see here, with a 450 by 450 for the resolution, and the quality is just amazing. It looks really, really clean, very bright. You do have the option to keep it as always on or make it like mine. In my case here, I just have it so that it only comes on when I raise my hand. So very nice user interface on this watch here. I've been loving interacting with it. Things are just easily accessible. And one thing about Galaxy watches is that I've always loved using them to set and track, my fitness goals. Not that I wasn't doing it with my Apple Watch, but I just wasn't doing it to the degree I used to with my old Galaxy watches. And this new lineup here brings about some major changes in the health game and the health tracking game. And I'm talking including the fact that you now have a native Google apps on here. This is really, really cool. With that even more accurate GPS that would help you better track your whereabouts or your trail if you go for a jog or anything like that. With all of the new features that are now included in top level smartwatches, so your EKGs, blood level, blood oxygen levels, stress levels, and in this particular case, you have some new way of tracking your sleep, right? And it also tracks your snoring or your sleeping habits and your snoring also. And the new one that I keep trying here is the body composition here, which is a very interesting one. And your Samsung Health app is loaded with so many other things that can really help you dig down through all of those numbers if you really wanted to. So major improvements pretty much everywhere. Now, here's my take. Overall, I have no regrets going back to the Galaxy Watch series here from my Apple Watch. It's a very nice watch, but I just prefer this look and also everything that comes with the new lineup here, especially that collaboration of Google and Samsung. And I'm pretty impressed so far, not only just by the specs of the watch itself, but also by the performance. It's super snappy, it's really bright. The UI or the user interface here is very, very nice, easy to navigate. The design, of course, is one of my favorite things here. Although I do have a problem with the bands, right? The bands that come with this watch, they have this little gap here. So unless you have like really big or thick wrist, if your wrist is just normal size like mine, yeah, you get this little gap here. This is not a good look. And the way the watch is set up, it's a 46 millimeters watch, and you have these wristband that won't wrap around your wrist, giving it just kind of a weird look. And also this model here, the 46 millimeter, will run you about $380, and that's before tax. I was really hoping they would at least include something a little bit more premium, a little bit like they did with the Galaxy Watch 3, right? And I'm talking about the band, of course. The watch itself is premium, but the band on here, that silicone, is really, I don't like it. I actually hate it. So it was disappointing to see Samsung include that as opposed to something a little bit more premium, so you feel like you're really spending your money and getting your money worth. But it is what it is, I guess. I'm just gonna order a different band and, you know, have it look better than what this thing looks like. Also, another thing I want to add before closing here is that if you are an old user or previous user of the Galaxy Watches or previous user of the Tizen OS, the move here in terms of just using the watch won't really be a drastic change for you. A lot of the stuff, you know, usability and accessibility will be kind of the same. And, you know, you do have some new stuff added on here, and you could get some of your stuff transferred, not everything. You could get some of your stuff transferred, but overall it's going to be a nice transition for you to go from a previous one to this one. But anyway, that's all I had for the all new Samsung Galaxy Watch 4 Classic here. I'm certainly hoping that you found this informative. Make sure to like the video, share if you know anyone who will be interested. Don't forget to subscribe also. I know I said that already, just want to make sure that you subscribe. Hit me up with all of your questions or comments in the comment section. I'm going to catch you in that comment section. I'm also going to catch you in the next video. And as always, of course, up until then, stay safe out there.